one of my favorite people, Kara, and she's amazing. So we've become friends. She was a subscriber to my channel. She came across my channel and she's been watching me for a little bit, but we have just been friends ever since. So
We do. We have our wonderful little chats that we
I
always
mean,
record.
well, the thing is, we have such great conversations. I'm like, why aren't we recording this right now?
Exactly.
And so here we are. We're having our little conversation, just like coffee clatch conversation, even though I don't have my coffee with me right now. And she has an authentic Vogel that she bought straight from Drew Towsley.
Yes.
And that's luminarystudios.com. I have, no shame plug there. But tell us about your Vogel. Do you have it with you right now?
You know what? Let me go grab it. Hang on. So here it is. I got a 13-sided one.
Ooh,
I just
okay.
always resonated with the number 13. I love it, and it works for me.
Yeah.
So comes in a nice little pouch here, purple.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Oh my gosh, look at how big that thing is.
Yes, it feels so good
Wow.
in your
I didn't
hand.
know it would be that big. I was expecting it to be like this.
I mean, it's, these are an investment, and I just put it on a credit card and said, I just have to have it.
Yes.
I will figure out how to use it when I get it.
Yeah.
And, I've read a lot like you about Marcel Vogel. I get how to clean the crystal. I get, but it's hard finding really good information on, So anyway, you have
Yes.
this information.
Yes. So I've been through hours and hours and hours of Marcel's videos, and they are very long. And each one, though, has other gems in it.
Yeah.
So I do recommend, if people have the time or take the time to, watch those videos that are put out in regards to his work. And so what you want to do is obviously, have you discharged the crystal? Have you worked with the crystal at all? Like just practicing the discharge?
And so you guys are aware, if anybody is buying one of these, Drew actually programs them, and he cuts them at certain times. And I noticed that he does it when it's on a full moon. And they are cleaned and programmed for, with love, and they're cut with love. And so anyway, it's a very unique tool.
No, I know that there are specific things that they do, and that was one of the main concerns with Marcel, was that the cutter makes sure that the central axis is included, from the tip to the end, and that they would play classical music, soft classical music. They would give loving intentions as they were cutting it. Very important information, knowing what we know now, based on Dr. Masaru Emoto's work with water, because crystal is basically a type of water, and it will hold the memories of anything, of the traumas or anything done to it. So that's amazing. I'm sure that there's basically almost like a ritual that you have to do. And so that, this is one of the things that I do with water. When I have my water, I keep it in a magnetic water trap. So basically I have a bucket that has these magnets that are polarized in a certain position, because you have to do either negative or positive. And I make sure that the negative, because that's what the ground is negative, and make sure negative is facing in the direction of the water that's inside a jug. So I have a glass jug, and it sits inside of a bucket that is metal, and then the magnets are on outside of the bucket. But then I take the water, and I have a very small crystal just naturally formed from the earth, and I will discharge that crystal. It's wrapped around a piece of copper wire so that I can use it as a stirrer or just kind of pick it up and move it around. And I will discharge it and recharge it with love, stick it in a funnel that is on top of my glass. And then I take that water and make sure that the water, when it pours, it spirals clockwise around the crystal down into the glass that I'm going to use for drinking. And I do that every single time.
That's great. Well,
And
the Eskimos, in some lore that you'll find in old books, felt that crystals were, in fact, frozen water.
Yes.
And, and so there's a lot to be said for that. And then with the magnetic polarity, yeah, that's really important also.
Yeah. It's important that people know about how they can harm themselves from not knowing the information about magnets.
Yes.
Those the neodymium magnets that come, they come with a warning label that you can do damage to yourself. So, and this is why, it's because the polarity,
well, with the wrong polarity, for instance, if you're doing, like a healing on somebody, you put the wrong polarity and they have, well, you might be expanding their rather than shrinking it. So yeah, you need to know what you're doing when you're with magnets.
Exactly.
You want to use the side that makes them grow versus the side that, takes it out. So yeah, there's a lot to do with that.
And if you can just, again, this is why I say that knowing the four elements, yin and yang, and then the four elements of alchemy. So it's air, fire, earth, water. The earth and water principle are the negative polarity, or the ground polarity. It's electrons. It makes no sense. Like, the words don't make any sense. But then you have the protons that are the air and fire principle. So that's the positive polarity. So you have to just know that obviously the electrons are the ones that are beneficial for us, because we put our feet on the ground, and then our body is supposed to be up in the air. But anyway, we digress.
Well, really quick though, for those of you who are out there and who don't go through all the trouble that Ellen and I might go through, something great to have is just a copper cup. And in Ayurvedic medicine, when water rests in copper, it's able to reset itself from all the negativity that it has gone through in order to get into your cup. So very inexpensive way just to, start drinking a little healthier water.
Exactly. Well, and let me add, I'm just going to extrapolate on that further. This is how we go.
That's how we do it.
So it's important for people to know that copper is associated with Venus, and then the moon is associated with silver. So copper and silver are the only two feminine metals that are healing for the body, that actually will benefit you. But also iron, people cooked with iron pans and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So there is that. I use an iron skillet for cooking pancakes.
Well, in the olden days, people would actually use, that's why there were silver utensils, because it's highly antibacterial. So is copper. And, if we got back to doing those things, we'd probably be much healthier as a society.
Yes, absolutely. And I have been thinking about doing that, because I used to see the actual silverware in thrift stores from, these estate sales. I haven't
seen that in a long time, years, and I look every time I go. People are getting I think. Yeah.
They usually have them in the cabinets, like in the display cases and stuff. And I have seen them, and I'm like, you know what? And I think you can find them on Facebook Marketplace, because I did look recently.
Oh, wow.
But the only thing to note about that, know that the copper and silver are very, very malleable substances. So they will add another metal on the inside, and you'll get a lot of silver plate or copper plate, because it has to have some sort of rigidity to maintain its shape, and to hold that shape and not be too too pliable.
So also in Ayurveda, they eat off of brass. They use brass plates, brass utensils, brass, drinking cups, and that's a combination of 3 different metals: copper, tin, and I can't remember what it is, but anyway, it also takes the negativity and the things that are out of the food, and that's why they eat off of those.
Interesting.
Yes, so look into that. It's called something specific. I want to say Monza or something. Anyway, I would have to look it up. But it's quite expensive as well.
Yeah, well, and I pulled up some videos on YouTube on how to make your own copper bowls and stuff.
Oh, wow. That's
great.
And
it's about hammering, you can get the sheets of copper at Home Depot or whatever. And then you just you put it around a rock form, and you just tap, 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 and you tap it into a round shape.
I'm not that artistic.
It's more about patience, I think, than anything.
I don't have any patience either. So I got a double whammy.
Well, and know this though, because you can go to Target and try to find these copper cups and stuff. They're not 100% copper, because the inside will be silver, And then
Yeah.
the outside
Yeah.
will be like a copper plate or something. I
Yeah.
don't
You
trust
need to
that
find
kind of stuff.
100% copper.
I
Yes.
don't trust that at all. I
Yeah.
did find a 100% copper water dispenser. And
Oh, that's
it
amazing.
holds about, let's say it holds about a gallon,
That's
maybe,
perfect.
or maybe just a little more. But and it just sits on my counter as well. It
Well, and in India, they actually rest like a flower next to it, and they will light a lamp. So you have the earth, air, fire, water elements, and they're actually being infused as your water is resting in the copper.
yes,
And it's very ritualistic and it's very healing and important to your body.
yes,
Absolutely.
all
You know,
of this,
we
all
miss so much over here
oh
in
my
America.
gosh,
We need to get back to basics. And in fact, I want to put that kind of knowledge. I started writing a manuscript for my kids, actually, because I have a lot of this knowledge. I've done years and years and years of research like you, and I wanted to pass it on to them.
yes,
And then I thought, well, maybe other people could, benefit from this. So
absolutely.
I don't know how to write a book. So
It doesn't
I just have
matter.
a,
It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
I
Just
have a
do it.
channel. It's called Lost Ways Found, and the only thing I've managed to put up on there is about heirloom tomatoes and some gardening stuff. But I'm going to actually put that stuff in there so that people can, know this information that's really important, and then they can share it with other people.
Absolutely. Well, I'll have to include that link in my description box for this video. So
Well,
that,
people are going to have to be patient. I got kids and two jobs and life, and so I just but I'll put that stuff out for people so that they can
yeah,
share it. Yeah.
absolutely. So it's all about, how much time do we want to invest in certain things,
Yeah.
and that's why doing a channel, I'm a little bit like I have to take a break from it after a while. I
Yeah.
know how much of the consciousness it's taking, to spend the hours on editing videos, to put together videos, collecting content for videos.
I don't have the patience and I
It,
don't have the talent
yeah.
either. But I do have the information, so I'll just put a little, it might be dark, but at least you can hear what I have to say and take it or leave it.
Hey, listen, truth can be taken. It's like seeds. It's like, planting seeds and then taking what you can from someone's wisdom. And it can be anyone's wisdom. Everyone has something to share and to bring to the table. It's just who's going to take the time to just stop and not worry about someone's emotional states or the personality conflicts, or just listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, and then use what resonates with you in your
Exactly.
life. That's why what you do, Ellen, is so important. And the videos you put out, I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. And it just brings more to the table. And then when you and I can chat and we bounce stuff off of each other,
Gosh,
it's
it's amazing.
important.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
very
important.
much. Yes. Thank you so much for that. And I just appreciate all of the knowledge that you have bequeathed me, because I need to know more about the Vedics, because this is where a lot of the lost knowledge has come from. The stuff that we have incorporated, the things like, the yogas and the meditations and all this stuff is still held sacred over there.
It
But
is.
here, it's a distortion, the way they teach yoga as a physical thing and not
It
with the
has
whole body.
nothing to do with physical. Well, I shouldn't say it has nothing to do,
It's
but it's actually a spiritual practice. Yes,
yes,
you've taken it and flipped it. Mhm.
yes, and that's just like the what is it called? Roku, like the Japanese when they're working with
Uh, Haiku.
haiku. Well, haiku's the poems, but
Yeah.
they're is it
I know what you're talking
no,
about.
what is the name of it? It's clay. I can't think of it right now.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
and that was a spiritual thing, and they've brought it to the States and made it into, oh, it's an art piece.
Yeah.
No,
No, where you're talking about where the bowl breaks and then they fuse it together with gold.
well, they have, yes, it's stuff like that. There's a sacred um form of forming the clay, but then firing it with specific like glazes and things. It's a specific firing technique that they use. It was actually some sort of ritual that was more spiritual based than, because this was an art, and I came across this stuff in some of the art festivals, and I think I don't know if it's Roku.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, anyway, it was something that was in Japan, that some form of clay building and firing and technique. And we brought it over here, and now it's, for vanity purposes, or,
right.
artistic. I mean, this is what we do. We subvert the spiritual aspects, because they don't really take the spiritual and take that as a serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where we are, is like, our country, unfortunately, is breeding narcissism. It's breeding this distortion of nature and reality. I feel, with this septic, I feel like the entire system of technology that we're embracing right now is very septic on where it's going, because we don't have the spiritual fortitude to deal with something like this kind of high technology that's actually going to usurp our minds. People don't really think about that and how much they invest in it. But anyway,
I came across something. So, I do sound therapy, and
yes.
I came across something that was like, so, they will teach you that the tuning forks were invented in the 1700s by a guy named John Shore. Well, that's false. You can actually find images of tuning forks on Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Wow,
I can figure out how to share my screen, anyway. So that's not true. And then there is something in there where back in the 1700s, where the Chinese have actually changed. So, as you probably know, music went from a particular, like a pure tuning, to a harmonic tuning. It's a different sort of tuning. And they got together in the 1700s, and I believe this was done by the Chinese. I could pull it out of one of my books and read it to you, where that tuning actually projects people into a more materialistic world. And it just so, I need to find this. It just so happens that that's when our Industrial Revolution began.
Wow.
Yes. And so that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Here, it's in my book. I have it.
Because everything is based on sound. Light comes from sound. Material things, the material world comes from sound, and people haven't really gotten this yet.
Well, I think in the coming years, people are going to wake up to how important sound is, how it can be applied medically. And, I do believe, we'll call it the powers that be are already aware of a lot of this information, and, use it for other purposes. It's going to be huge, absolutely huge.
Well, that's why they need
Keep talking while I'm looking for this.
Yeah, no, this is why they're putting out this technology as the new system of control.
Yes.
Because they don't have to be present to control us with this technology. And this technology is in the hands. This technology is in the hands of dark forces, like serious dark forces. We're talking about not like disembodied spirit dark forces. And people, they don't get it yet.
And it's in the hands of just about every man, woman, and child.
Yes, absolutely.
And, people do not understand that the frequencies and things that come out of your devices, your black cubes, as you like to put it, which I love, are incredibly harmful. And I can't remember what it's called, but where light frequencies and things that they can do on the TV can actually program you to think in a specific way. And this has, been forever ago. So what they have now, who knows? Can they program people to do certain things? Quite possibly.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. This was all the experiments with Dr. Mendele and the Nazis and stuff. Like they were doing stuff way back then with mind experiments and just atrocities and abominations. So now this is where they are now with all the technology that we employ. This technology is emitting light frequencies. These are very harmful septic frequencies. It is being emitted from darkness, of all things, so all we're doing is helping the darkness grow by embracing it, which is why I've had to take a little break, for the past 3 weeks or more. I haven't even uploaded a video for a while. So
I have not been on. Oh, here it is. I haven't been on just watching other people's stuff. You. I need a break. I need a break.
Yep.
Okay, here it is. Okay, more natural or pure tuning was used in the West from ancient times up until about 1750 in various forms, such as Pythagorean and just tuning. The change from pure tuning was contemplated by the Chinese more than 2,000 years ago. They believed that if they moved away from pure intervals and towards more equal tuning, this would create a greater development of technology and material progress as the loss of the connection between heaven and earth. Mm-hmm. And to note, 1750 to 1800 marks the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and a huge jump forward in our material growth. Whether this was coincidence or not, what the Chinese foretold happened in the West when the tuning was changed from pure to tempered. And this was accompanied by the onset of the Industrial Revolution. So,
yeah, what's the name of that book?
So this actually came from the school that I went to for my sound therapy. Okay. And tuning forks use particular intervals, and you will see people doing bowls and you will see people doing tuning forks on the body. This is completely different. It's done at the ears and in a specific sequence, but that's a whole nother thing. I want to know more about the crystal. Yeah, no. How we use the crystal.
I want to know how much that thing was, because that is huge.
This was almost $1,300.
Oh wow, I was thinking more.
No, it was $1,300.
And is that like 8 inches? What's the length of that?
I don't know. I mean, here's my hands. And here's I have a terrible camera. It's probably
maybe it's 5 or 6. I don't know.
Yeah, probably 5 or 6, and it was $1,300, and that's
amazing,
huge for me. But I put it on a credit card. I said, I have to have it because I feel so strongly about it, and that's how I felt, years ago when I bought my tuning forks. I didn't even know how to use them, and this was years ago, and I bought them before I knew how to use them. I just had to have them. And this is just the same thing. The universe is speaking to me, so I'm listening.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Like I've got to save up. I got to, what? I probably have that much in change though from the years of just throwing change.
I thought I'll just put it on the card and pay for it later. $25 a month, whatever.
Oh, yeah. I don't do credit cards anymore. I just got out of that whole thing. I'm like, you know what? If I don't have the money, I'm not buying it. But yeah, so let's get back to the Vogel stuff because it is important. And I love going over it because it just rejuvenates my spirit and goes, yeah, let me share this information because Marcel was amazing. Yes. So with the crystal, and let's just go over this. Let's just do the whole process. Okay. You'll hold your crystal in one of your hands and you want to hold it on the sides with one hand, but then what you'll have to do, Kara, is I guess just try to get your thumb as underneath that one as possible, and hold.
It's sharp, just so you know. These are incredibly sharp.
Yeah, you got to be very careful with that you don't drop it too. But he did say that he can repair the tips. I know that Drew said that he can repair it if the tip happens to break off or anything. So.
No.
So then you want to start breathing in through the nose only. You're always going to keep your mouth shut when you're breathing with these things. Very important because it amplifies this energy that's going to be coming out of your body. But as you breathe in, it's positive polarity. And as you exhale, it's negative polarity. So you're spiraling the energies. So think of it as pulling, which would be clockwise, inward breath, and then pushing, which is counterclockwise with outward breath. And the same thing, you're having negative charge and positive charge going into your hands. So it's like a battery. This is why this stuff works. Mm-hmm. And if you study Franz Barden and
love him.
Initiation into Hermetics, he teaches you which body parts are positive, negative, electric, and magnetic. And that is very fascinating, and it's good to know. So you're going to just start inhaling. We're going to do it 3 times. 3 times in an inhale. Here we go. Nice and deep. Inhale. Nice and deep. Then exhale completely. Inhale. Exhale. So normally what I do on the third one is what I'm doing is building up the electrical charge in the body, building up the energy. And you're always going to be focusing on the pyramid formation at the top, not the sides, but at the top. So on this next inhalation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be imagining, this is for myself. I imagine an invisible golden rectangle or square. That to me symbolizes a pane of glass and clearing the memory of the crystal. The crystal works with your mind and all of the imagery that you can perform that are like symbols. So here we go. I'm just going to inhale and expel the memory of the crystal. It looks like this. And then it gets slick and you can test all the sides of it. If it feels like your finger has resistance anywhere, then that means it's still holding a memory. And what you may have to do is spin it to each facet at the top and doing the exhalation of clearing it and rotating it clockwise and clearing it.
Okay.
I have 6 sides, but mine's clear already.
Okay.
So next, what you want to do, still holding the crystal in this manner, you want to just look at the pyramid shape at the top and inhale while you're thinking and feeling. Feeling is the key here. Feel love and then go a step above and feel gratitude for it. And what I do is I envision an image of the sun, and now my finger has resistance. It wants to stick to the surface. Can you feel that, Karen?
Yeah, it is. It's sticky.
It's ready.
Over.
It is now programmed with the thought and feelings of love and gratitude. So at this moment, you can do a remote healing by thinking of the person that you want to heal. Either they're in front of you or you have a photograph of them, or if you have a very good memory, very clear memory of their facial features, smiling is best, then you can just inhale 3 times. And on the third inhalation, what you're going to do is you're going to take a screenshot. You're going to hold your breath on that third one. Take a screenshot of the crystal as it sits in your hands. Close your eyes, imagine the person's face, and then imagine the crystal and release your breath while thinking of their face. Very important transcendental meditation. And then as you do that, you're releasing the image into the crystal. And then you inhale with your eyes closed and exhale. Very, very strong, powerful exhalation.
So as you're closing your eyes, you've got a positive image of this person. You still have the crystal. Are you seeing the crystal in front of their face, maybe?
So what I normally do is I will look at them. If they're usually in front of me, I look at their face, I look at the crystal, screenshot, close my eyes, imagine the crystal in my hands as it was. And then I think of their face. So what I'm doing is I'm gluing them in time and space together. Right. Time and space, it really doesn't exist, so I'm just going click, click, making that connection like a train, train cars, click, click. But I'm thinking focused on their face. And then all of a sudden you inhale and exhale, powerful breath.
Okay, so blow it out the nose.
Yes, you may need tissue for this. And that's, we're all adults here.
So as you're blowing it, what are you, so you're blowing obviously out healing energy. Yes. And you're blowing it to the crystal or to their face?
In their image, in their visage, because
Okay.
you've already connected their face to the crystal as you release.
Yes.
So it goes like this again. As you think of the person, you've got the crystal in your hand, you've taken a screenshot of the crystal, closing your eyes, releasing, you just exhale that breath of their image into the crystal, because you've just connected the two images.
Got it.
That's what it does. And in your mind's eye, you go from crystal to face, and then release your breath just slowly.
Into
Exhaling it, it goes and connects with the crystal. And now you inhale, sending it out through the ether.
Okay, got it. That makes total sense now.
Yeah. So you've already, put the love intentions, the gratitude, and all of that. And that goodness and well-being goes out to the person instantly.
Perfect.
Because the crystal's already got that charge to it. And then, looking at the person after you've connected it with the crystal, the images are now together. Now as you're imagining this person in a wonderful, healthy state, you want to imagine them happy. I think it's very, very important. Don't imagine them in a sickened state or anything like that. Because it's even if they are like in a hospital bed or whatever. And this, all of this knowledge really needs to be tied into the Rosicrucian knowledge, because now that I have joined, they're doing this stuff on a daily basis. They're not using.
I can't wait for that information, for you to get that information. I'm so excited for that.
The whole thing is, it's everything that I've been doing. That's the whole, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a mystical order. And
wonderful.
It's all about meditation, really, and it's about learning natural sciences with spirit.
What do you do when they're in front of you? When you've got someone right there, and let's say they're having really bad shoulder pain, and you want to heal them, with your crystal. What would you do then?
So what I do is I do that whole process where I just try to do it like this. Normally what will happen is there's different versions. Normally it will either go right away, disappear completely, or it's like I will have to do it 3 times for it to diminish some, or it'll be like layers of an onion where you're constantly, hacking at it and pulling off pieces of the pain or whatever it is that's ailing them. Or it's like whack-a-mole where you're going pow, and now it's over in another body part, and then you go pow, and it's like in another body part. And they're like, oh my gosh, now it hurts over here, and then it hurts over there, and then it hurt. And you're like, what is that? Like,
and you're doing the same procedure with the crystal that you did. Well, a lot of people don't know there's physical pain where, let's say, you bashed your arm, or there's emotional pain where a lot of times people present arm pain when they're feeling, the weight of the world on their shoulders, or they could have an attachment. There's all these different things, and that's probably when it moves around.
Yes, I would say that. And just because there's different energy bodies also that are radiating outwards as fields of light. And we know that there's at least 7 because of the 7 Elohim or 7 chakra system that we're attached to, the 7 rays of color. I just went over this with Rex, going over all these associations.
I need to watch that.
And so, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but, as we continue to investigate, working with Marcel's techniques and stuff, I think we need to just come together and share the knowledge again. But
I just got a new book that I was surprised. Well, I've known a little bit about this, about the chakra system and the colors, because, for me, this is important. I know this system it's Vedic, it's ancient. But the colors, I found out, weren't actually added until the 70s in the Western color system, and also with the 7. In most traditional older practices, there's only 5. Now, the other interesting thing, I just got a book by, are you familiar with Ledbetter?
I've
C.W.
heard of it.
Ledbetter.
I've heard,
I
yeah.
have this book. I happen to have this book right here somewhere. I have a lot of books and I have them just scattered everywhere.
No,
Anyway, I just got it and I was reading it because it's specifically about the chakras. And he was clairvoyant, and I believe he did something with the Rosicrucians. I'll have to check into that. But anyway, he could see colors associated with the chakras. And normally we would associate, like for instance, the heart with green,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But actually it's associated with gold and or yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so and the
Yeah.
this is very interesting because I'm a little confused on this. So there is the root chakra, which we know where that lies at the base of the spine, but sort of tucked in there. And then you would have the western, which is the sacral chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the solar plexus. Well, in his vision and in more ancient, you have the spleen and then the umbilical. And it's interesting because there's pictures in there where the umbilical will go to different places in the body. And I know from a Vedic perspective, that's why I do a lot of oiling of the belly button
Mm-hmm.
with different essential oils and different types of oils. Because, if you think about it, you were nourished there, for 9 months in your mother's womb. And that was the only place you were nourished. So, and often, I get a little concerned about attachments attacking there because, that's an opening, one of many. And so anyway, when you oil that area, so, if people are interested in that, frankincense is wonderful. Same with myrrh. And anyway, it just, it nourishes your system. You could do a
Yes.
lot of different things with that. Anyway, some for another time. But what I don't understand is he had the spleen below the umbilical, which we all know the spleen is above your navel and it's to the left. But inside the body, the pathways, it was different. So anyway, I'll look into that a little bit more, and maybe you and I can talk about that later. But yeah, and all of those are connected with elements, as you know, and
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, it's really interesting when you start looking at the history. And then, the colors were not added until the 70s, but yet, Ledbetter, this was in 1909 or something. And he was, again, clairvoyant and saw colors. So anyway, back to whatever it is we were talking about.
Yeah,
I got off
no,
on that tangent.
it's definitely important to put all of this out there because it's going to start triggering people to go, oh my gosh, yeah, no, it's this and that and that. I mean, obviously, we're not the purveyors of all knowledge, and we're just trying to pick up the pieces of this fragmented reality that we are now experiencing, because it's been through thousands of years of wars that we now emerge in this moment in time and are looking around going, what is going on? And there's pieces.
Where are we? What's happening?
I mean, like, what is this existence right now? Because you have the decentrative desire to deconstruct reality, and then there's the concentrative desire to create reality. So they're the two opposing forces that can be found in Vedic and in Chinese, yin and yang. I refer to the yin and yang because I don't even know what the Vedic system is, in association to the dark and light. But it's so much easier and simpler to just say, hey, yin and yang, you have light and dark, and you have this
black and white, hot and cold. It pervades everything in this universe, everything.
Yes. And when you truly dig into the yin and yang and start studying nature and our reality, what is this? If I look at a ladder, is that yin or yang? Well, I would say that it's yang because the metals that are made up of that. And then, I have a wooden easel. Well, that's yin because it's earth, it's wood.
And Chinese is a beautiful philosophy to incorporate. I actually got hung up just the other day on black and white. I wear a lot of black, and I always have. It's just, I just do. And I was pondering that. And in the physical world, black, well, let's back up. Okay, white supposedly, and it is not supposedly, it's a combination of all colors. That's evidenced by a prism. Okay, and so you can see the rainbow of colors in white. Well, in the physical world, black is a combination of all colors, right? You mix all the colors together, what do you get? You get black. Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of energetic protection, I know people that wear white when they're doing, healings or cleansings, because in their mind, it's an absence of all color and it reflects everything back, as to where black absorbs. And so then you look into the philosophy of stones, healing stones or protective stones. Most, not healing, I would say protective stones are mostly black. Your tourmalines, your jet, your obsidian. That's because it absorbs and transmutes negative energy. So, this world is so complicated. And I think really a lot of it comes down to our intention with whatever it is. So for me, black is not always dark. I know it definitely represents dark, but for me, it's like a shield. And, when I do my thing, I always just wear black. I feel very protected in it. And, another person might feel like it's a dark energy. So I think intention also comes down to, a lot of what is, we use or project, in our material world. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So, I think it's important to realize how much chaos is created in our worlds with all the frequencies that we are now surrounding ourselves with. It's a lot of septic frequencies. So imagine the paint on the wall, imagine the toxicity of the carpet. All of these things are created in man-made designs with plastics and industrial materials, using petroleum distillates and all of these things. And we surround ourselves in these harmful frequencies. The clothing that we utilize is mostly synthetic fibers now. They don't even have hardly any choices if you go out shopping for cotton and natural fibers.
It's getting hard to find, and people don't understand. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. You're absorbing everything. Everything.
Yes. So, at some point during our evolution through the constellation cycle, which is the great year cycle, we realize all of this effect of all the things, the physical things around us, and how it resonates with our frequencies in a harmful manner. And at some point, we negate all of this because the collective eventually is like, what is that saying? Where we go one, we go all. This is what's happening right now. Like there's a decentralized control system and a centralized control system that are emerging from the ashes of this thing that has happened recently with 2020. So now what's happening is the decentralized and centralized are at a head, and one is pulling and the other one is pushing. They're at a tug of war, and they're trying to pull us out of the darkness. The decentralized is pull us away from this absolute control. But this happens again and again. It's like beating your head.
And then our memories erased when, all the earthquakes. Oh yeah, over and over.
So I say, this is me stating this based on my research of the Hyperboreans. We are not the only ones in this existence. We are just unaware of where the giants went after this great cataclysm that has erased them from our collective memory. There are still some genetics that are popping up in our society, in people, where people are 7-8 feet tall all of a sudden.
They have 6 fingers, they have a tail. Yeah.
I know. I have a friend that had 2 rows of teeth when she was born.
Yeah,
and she had something else going on with her intestines, and she had to go in. She had endometriosis or something. She had to go in for surgery. They actually severed some things, some connective things, because her insides weren't like most people.
Interesting.
Yes, she said that they went and cut something and she has no idea what it was, but they did report that they found some things inside of her and they cut them. I was like, this is what they, and I, as a baby, they removed my tonsils and my brother's too. Why?
It's not okay.
What does it mean? It doesn't mean your tonsils are rotten. They're telling people they're telling people that there's things wrong with them when there really aren't.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe, like I said, I've been, looking into Ayurvedic medicine and herbalism and things for a really long time. And I do believe Western medicine does have its place.
Yes.
When you have a broken arm or their diagnostic equipment is fantastic. But I believe on the flip side of that, with the pharmaceuticals, the pharmakia, you are absolutely being.
Well, you have to consider what the ingredients are in products. And it's a lot of petroleum-based products that act as the glue to put the things together. So there's a lot of things to consider with this. And it is based originally in, they've taken over the actual system that we had that was actually beneficial. And, it's a lot of things are being run in the ground, like our food supply being run in the ground and driven down this dark path where they control the food, they control the water, they control the air, they control our homes. They've done all this stuff. And
now about the barcoding, right? Where all the plants and things are being barcoded. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everything. But, on the flip side of that, like, why did they create these doomsday seed vaults with all the organic plants and seeds?
Well, because they know their system isn't sustainable, and it's for, just the sheep and the masses that are wanting to be controlled, and it goes back to the pharmaceuticals as well. That's why, like I said, I have something on my channel about heirlooms, because it is so important to know how to seed save and why you're saving those plants. A hybrid, yeah, that's great in the stores, whatever. You can't they don't reproduce true to seed, and you don't know what you're going to get. And another good example is lavender essential oil. Scientists have isolated the compound that supposedly makes lavender. It's very good for burns, and I'm talking severe burns, but they can't make it work because they don't know all the other little things that make it work synergistically in the plant. They can't patent like natural plants, and this is why they work so well against like MRSA and very serious fungal diseases. So essential oils like oregano, highly effective against MRSA. And MRSA is deadly. They can't patent it because oregano is going to differ year to year just based on the weather. That 0.0000001% difference that they get from something that is naturally grown versus what they create in the lab is what is so healing to the body, because whatever fungal pathogen that's causing your harm, it can't form a resistance to it like it can to something in the lab, because the lab, in order to be patented, it has to be the exact same thing every single time, and just a weather change or an altitude change makes the plant different year to year, season to season.
Well, it's all about frequencies, right? All about light frequencies. And, that's why they're dimming the skies right now. That's why it's like 60 degrees outside. And at the end of May, it's almost June and it's getting cold. I'm like,
well, you got a lot of volcanoes going off. The earth is going through a lot of changes,
and those too are being perpetuated by man. And most people have.
Well, I disagree. I don't believe the earth changes are being perpetuated by man. I think it's a cycle that we're in. That.
Now we do know about we're in the winter. There's like greater seasonal changes that the earth goes through, and we're in the middle of the winter of these seasonal changes for the earth changes, not in our yearly cycle. But at the
Right.
same time, these chemtrails, they're absolutely messing up the rhythm of nature with the chemtrails, because I've seen it with my own eyes, what's happening with the trees and stuff that are suffering. I mean, we're in a die-off process, but the fungus is going through the roof with all the stuff, with the soil drying up from the sprays of their air and fire principle that they're raining down on us.
For those people that don't believe in whatever it is that they're spraying, I mean, it's not normal for planes to fly in a grid pattern. I mean, you can literally see squares over where I live. I have a picture actually of a commercial jet that is not, because I live under actually where lots of planes go. So I have a picture of a commercial jet that has no chemtrail, and this far under it at, the commercial jets right here, and then the plane that is spraying, I have a video of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have where I've seen it where they turn it on and then the
Yes.
spray comes out. And so, this is not, and they say it's cloud seeding, but it's not. There's no weather coming in here, they do it at night.
Yeah.
And so for me, I need to start, because there are days they do it extremely heavily. I mean, the sky will go from a beautiful blue to just everything's white. You can't see anything. So are they hiding something out there? Are they blocking in? Because the sun gives you vibrations, I guess we'll call it. Whether they're positive or negative. Same with the moon, and there's a lot in Vedic astrology that talks about that. And so I should write down on my calendar when they're doing this. So maybe does it have to do with the positive influences that are coming in that they don't want us to have?
Yes.
Or is it something to do, maybe I'm way off base, and it has something to do with, the sun is blasting off. I don't really keep track of that either. The sun is blasting off some sort of CMEs that are actually dangerous for our health. And we think, that this is bad, but it's actually saving us. I don't really know. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that everything they're doing, the sun, according to the Egyptians, was the light that of the path that we're supposed to be following.
Yes.
And so I think it was so important, and they had vast knowledge above and beyond what we have now in regards to the spiritual aspects of our world. And I do believe that Thoth was one of the entities. He was a keeper of records. Very important to know about Thoth, that he was a keeper of records, a scribe of all of this knowledge. And I do believe that Hermes usurped this knowledge, and now we consider it Hermetics because there's a tie there where the Romans gave Hermes his honorary name of Hermes Trismegistus. And we know where the Romans stand with everything, as far as the wars and things that have been incited. But that's a story for another time. I truly feel like the sun is our savior because it says it in the Bible. The Son of God, because that's God's son. It's not our son, it's God's son. And it is our Savior who art in heaven and who rises in the morning. Oh, he has risen. He's our risen Savior. Yes, because without the sun, we would not be here. Imagine a world without the sun. Would we be living? No, we would be Nephilim. We'd be in the cold environment of darkness and spirits. And our spirit would probably be somewhere else at that point. But
our pineal gland is activated by light and the sun. And so if people were to start to sun gaze, I've been doing that in the mornings, where I do it with my eyes closed just as the sun comes up, and you can actually see. It's really interesting. I suggest people do that. And you're right, it helps open your mind, I think, to new possibilities. And I don't know if you probably do, but Thoth's name is Tahuti.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that relates versus the, Hermes Trismegistus, because you got to look at etymology also.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So much stuff has been hidden from us and changed, and
Overwritten.
it's confusing. It's hard
Oh,
to
it
keep.
gets confusing. But I mean, you start really going into Hermes. Who is Hermes? Why is he considered a god? Why is he a Greek god specifically? Why is he among the pantheons of God? Why does he have wings on his feet? Why is he naked?
Related to Mercury,
Yeah.
and Mercury is the fastest planet, that, besides the moon, that goes around. So I don't know. And
So,
Mercury is for communication,
yes.
um, and the mind in terms of intelligence and how we get information. I don't know.
And it was again, it goes into Rome, giving
Mm.
him a deifying type of name and honorary this and that and the other. And why? What? Because honestly, if you look into Hermes, he was a god of thieves and merchants, and we know that
And yeah, that's true.
merchants is tied to the Silk Road and this
Yeah,
idea of materialism. But he
right,
was one of Zeus's sons. And it tells me that maybe when you really start reading about it, he's like Loki.
right.
And
Trickster.
like he was a trickster ultimately, but he's a god of thieves and merchants, really. And we're like saying, "Oh wow, Hermes, give me a break." No,
Mm-hmm.
like who is this thief? Because basically, it sounds like a thief, and I guarantee you, in the distant past, he possibly tricked Tahuti, or after Tahuti descended from this world, because he did say that he was going to leave with his records behind, and anybody that touches his stuff and dishonors him, he will be back in the future incarnation to exact his revenge on them. So if Hermes is anywhere connected to this world, he's going to be in some trouble when Tahuti comes back. That's all I gotta say. Because these pantheons of gods, I believe that they are, even if they're disembodied right now, they can incarnate at will. And that is one thing that's written about in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And it's something that we have never actually physically experienced or seen with our own eyes. But like somebody was putting out all of these old photos of Nazis with all of the technology that they've actually found in Egypt, and it will blow your mind.
Oh, I could just imagine.
It is
I
like
can't even imagine what's
sci-fi,
hidden from us.
because they've been giving us all the crap saying, oh, well, these are ancient, people, and they're just primitive. And so they show us the pots and the little artifact things, that are made by hand. These people had some crazy technology. And I'm not even kidding. They had stargates. They had metal things. I don't even know what it is, but they have all of these Nazi, they're German military taking photos with these things. And that's all being poured into the collective consciousness that, this stuff has been done, and we've been lied to on the grandest scale possible. We're coming back into our awakening because we need the knowledge. We need the tools for what's coming for us. We need to have discernment again. So that's why we're getting the energies, frequencies from the sun. Everything is rising in consciousness and awareness. Some people are on board with reconnecting with the spirit, and then other people are just engaging this system of control that is the technology. Other people,
and that might be why they're blocking out those frequencies. I do believe that whatever they're spraying has something to do with frequency control. And you're absolutely right. AI, for me personally, I can see where it could be beneficial in certain ways, but I believe it has an energy of its own. There was a article my mother sent me because I have a teenage daughter, and it was very concerning because what happened, I think I sent it to you, was where the kids are committing suicide through TikTok, because it doesn't matter what, even though they're looking at really happy, funny videos, it will throw to them in their feed negative, depressing, and it's not an algorithm, because an algorithm normally, if you're looking at cats, it'll give you more things, or maybe some things that are related to cats, or something. This is not that. It's throwing them something totally different than what they are looking at, and it's making them sad, it's making them depressed. What is that? To me, that's
Because
a negative entity.
listen to this. Okay, so Al is tied to dark spirit, right?
Yes.
Algorithm. And
Mm-hmm.
then TikTok implies
I'm coming.
Saturn. It's Saturn. We are in this spiritual war, and it's based in frequency. It's a frequency war now. And it's a war for your consciousness, as it always is, your mind, your consent to contract with darkness. That's what all of this technology is about. Consenting to contract means that you're signing, those I agree to the terms and
Get
conditions.
into anything without signing one of those anymore. You can't
Good.
use your
Yeah,
bank account. You can't use
I
any
know.
sort of technology without signing those. You can't even get online without.
And this is why we're seeing the beginning of this other world where people are embracing nature, pushing away from society. We're seeing the division, but eventually, as we go back around that great wheel cycle, everyone eventually gets on board with the natural cycles of time and of living, of life in general, because they realize that this is not really serving humanity in the best way possible.
Well, it could be beautiful if it was used in the right way. Every time one of those things come up, when I click, I consent. In my mind, I say, I do not consent.
Exactly.
I am
Exactly.
only doing this because I have to use the technology.
Yes.
People need to understand that your thoughts are very, very important, even though you're forced to consent to be able to, send PayPal to somebody or whatever. In your mind, you can say, I do not consent. And slowly it makes a difference, you
It
guys. It really
does.
does. It
And
makes a difference.
this is something to learn, when you're doing the mysticism practices, your thoughts are going into an egregore
Mm-hmm.
of knowledge of, it's like a pool of minds that are actually creating together. And that has energy in itself. We may not be able to experience it or see it, or have a tangible relationship with it, but it is absolutely creating, because every thought that people manifest in their mind is created in the ether. Every single thought goes into the ether. So the purer your mind is about your thoughts and your truth too, because you've got to be honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself about literally everything, then you're going to experience more hardships. This is something that I've had to go through my own introspection, and I still do on a daily basis. That's why I have created the stillness in my life, and it is so well balanced without having a physical job and a regular income. Somehow, because of the stillness inside of me, I have created this world of stasis, and it's a beautiful little pocket of what the grander scale of the world could be like, just because I'm like, my soul refuses to do the 9 to 5 thing anymore. I don't feel that. I really want to just let go of all of the material stuff and just go out in the world like the world used to be, where it's open borders and people can just go and travel to the other lands and experience other cultures, immerse themselves in learning. I mean, this is what it was all about. We were sharing, we were doing all these things, and here we are. And I feel like I've had to create my own little bubble world inside a greater scheme of a world that I do not consent to.
But you know what? They say change yourself and you can change the world. I have 2 kids. I have a real job. I'm trying to manifest my healing talents so that that can support us. And I think you're right. If we work on ourselves a little bit every day, we are going to change the world. It just,
Mm-hmm.
if something that you and I say today clicks with somebody and helps them in some small way, and they start working on themselves, becoming happier and a little ray of light, well, whatever they're doing might be contagious to someone else that they know. And then that person will start working on themselves and become a little ray of light. We are constantly bombarded by sadness, darkness, anger, distractions, and it's keeping us down. We're being squished and we're being repressed, and they want us fighting with one another. They want conflict. They want, all this garbage. And if we just work on ourselves every single day, one little thing that, makes us feel happy, feel grateful, you're going to change the world that way, I think.
Yep. Yes, it's about working on yourself. I mean, this is what the entire process for polishing the philosopher's stone is about. See yourself as a stone, and you're going to polish yourself to a gleaming gold, and you're going to walk the middle pillar and not lean too far to the left or too far to the right, because that gets polarized. So you got to know about the darkness, know about the light, and then just walk the center line. Know that you could go the dark path and be angry and, resentful and all of these negative aspects of yourself. But then the extreme to that is like, no, everyone's great, everything's good, everything, polarized to the point where it's so extreme that it's a non-reality.
Right.
So it's really just about bringing the balance in, recognizing your own faults and working on those, because you can only change yourself. You can help people by, putting out videos like this, or, doing small things. Hey, I want to go help someone today. Let me just pick someone at random. And if you just allow yourself to trust your inner wisdom and your intuition, what they call intuition, and you feel like doing something specific, like maybe you all of a sudden you get this urge to go to the grocery store, do it. Maybe you get urge to
Totally
stop. Like you see someone on the street and you're like, oh my gosh, I really feel like I need to talk to that person, then do it. As crazy as it may seem, something is driving your vessel to do something specific for a reason. And it'll usually like blow you away. You'll be like, wow, I just did this and this happened. Like, I'll just give a small example. I felt compelled last Friday to go to the Mexican restaurant in my town just to have cheese dip and to sit at the bar specifically, even though I don't drink. I sat at the bar and I'm eating my cheese dip and I'm having a good time. It's got jalapenos in it. I'm like, I'm poisoning myself, but you know what?
It's delicious.
I'm like, I wanted this because I've just been in that mood. I'm like, you know what? I haven't had Mexican in a while. Let me have cheese dip. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'm getting close to wrapping it up. And this couple comes in. Well, they're of a dark brown skin, and I'm just sitting there. They're sitting at the corner. I'm sitting at the corner. So they sit at the other side of the corner. And we just start in conversation. And by the time you turn around, I had gotten there. It was probably about 6:30 or 7. We turned around, it was 11 o'clock and we were closing the door. I was like, what? We were talking about all this stuff. And I got off onto all this truth stuff. And this woman was like, she's like, oh my gosh, I need your number, and this is what's happening right now. People are coming into their great awakening and they're hungry for the knowledge. They're hungry and thirsting for all of this knowledge. And I was just like, wow, look at what just happened. I mean, I was by myself.
I think that's wonderful.
But that has been happening consistently lately. Like I just feel an urge. I'm like, you know what? I need to go do this, and I'll go do it. And then all of a sudden, like I went to a Greek festival on Saturday. Well, I'm leaving the Greek festival. I had enjoyed watching all the traditional dances, and I'm like, man, I need to go to Greece. I need to go move to Greece. I need to live there, because they're my people. I feel it on the inside because I had lived in Alexandria. I'm telling you. So
have you ever been to Greece?
I've been to Cyprus for 2 months. I stayed in Cyprus a long time ago. But yes, I had a Greek boyfriend at the time, way back when I was in high school. I mean, I love it. I love the hospitality. I love the culture. I don't know. It's a different way completely. But so I was leaving, and all of a sudden, these women were coming out of the festival too. And we just started talking. Oh my gosh, we were talking about artificial intelligence. They were like, yes, they're like, that is such a, they're like, this is evil. This, I'm like, yes. I'm like, it is taking the minds of the children. They're like, yes. And I'm going, these people can see much farther.
They're waking up.
Right here. So, I mean, it was just amazing how these synchronicities, I mean, they were just coming out at the same time that I was. And we just started in conversation. I
think that's great. We need to talk about this stuff,
yes,
need to be, because they're, some of the things we talk about may seem way out there and way off, but there are people, conservative people, that are having the same thoughts and feelings that we are, and we're just opening our mouths. That's all.
It's about embracing your brothers and sisters again, and meeting more people to join your tribe.
Yeah.
Because you can't meet them if you're not expressing your concerns about certain things. You're not going to meet your tribe if you're constantly thinking that nobody wants to hear you.
Yeah, I need to get better. I need to put some stuff out there, because I should. And you inspire me to do that.
It's about not being afraid to speak your truth and to, throw it out there. And I start small. You usually start with the government. Oh my gosh, the government, or oh my gosh, Biden, the whole Biden show. I don't even really talk about that because it's a joke.
Yeah, at this
it's
point,
obviously a show. But then it kind of escalates. You kind of feed off of people where they are on their journey, and then it escalates from there. And you'll be surprised at how many people are watching all of this social media and the information dump that is happening everywhere.
There was a video that actually made me really sad, and I'll see if I can pull it just so people can look it up themselves. And I'm here in Nevada, and people are very polarized with, because we have a new governor now. And there's a video that came out about the Las Vegas thing that happened many years ago, where people were at that concert and all of that. And this video essentially proves that those two people are actually just on the same side. And I'll tell you the name of it here in a second. Okay, right here. It's on Rumble. And it's called Route 91, Uncovering the Cover-Up of the Vegas Mass. I don't want your video to get flagged. And it's by Mindy Robinson. Mindy Robinson. It's kind of a long video, but if you guys look that up, it's mind-blowing that these things are being staged, and things are not what you think they are. And this is a great video for someone who is very conservative and into politics and things of that nature, for them to go, whoa, maybe it'll help them open their eyes a little,
realize some of this truth of what is being perpetuated. I mean, I say it all the time. I just put it out there. I'm like, the CIA owns Hollywood. CIA owns and operates Hollywood, owns and operates NASA, owns and operates all of the technologies that we're using. And the CIA is basically the mafia. Yeah. And I mean, I had to be in a union. Unions are mafia. We know this. And the mafia is tied to Rome. So you see where I'm going with this? Like,
it absolutely is. Yes.
All roads lead to Rome, because Rome, just look at the word. Look at the word Rome. They roamed around the world, inciting wars, overthrowing governments, overthrowing this and that. So now Rome is almost complete in their conquest of taking over the world completely. It's not 100%, but it is getting close. And there's a pushback right now that's happening because they realize, I mean, this is what happens. I feel in this existence, yes, there are other beings here that live far and beyond our own years, and that many of them are still in control of this existence. And we're like caught in the crossfires of these beings. But it's also the experience from the universe to have these lessons. These are life lessons for our soul to grab the knowledge and take on our journey. And whether we come back to this type of experience or we just pick another experience, time does not exist. And this has been proven in science and other places. And in, all of the spiritual realm, you will find this information. Time doesn't really exist. We are all just souls on a journey, and that journey is very long and very arduous. And that's even in the Emerald Tablets, that the road to the light is very long, but that road to the darkness, not so much. You can really go there really fast, depending on how much darkness you don.
Well, it's all just a school for all of us, light, dark, or in between. We're all here to learn. And I've thought a lot about that. And I'm not sure if this is just a school or if parts of it have been infiltrated and taken over. I know you can't have, light without the dark. I get that, but I'm still trying to understand, where we're at with all that, where with all the demons and all the things that have, clearly taken over a lot of aspects of our lives, and where the AI is going, and all of those things. I'm trying to understand that and what role it's playing in our learning. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you think of it in terms of, consciousness begets consciousness, life begets life. And if in the beginning there was the word, and the word created the light, which instantly created the shadow aspect, then from those two, all of the four elements came about. It just seems like as we go through these experiences and great year cycles, everything just gets fragmented more and more and diminishing more and more. Because if this truly was a world where these huge entities, and if you go into the Norse cosmology, they talk about the Jotun Ymir. Ymir was the first giant, and Ymir's body became the earth. Ymir was actually a hermaphrodite giant, and he was so fertile, she was so fertile, that other giants were born of his flesh. And that Odin and all these other giants that we've heard a pantheon of came from Ymir's armpits. And that's how fertile this being was. And we can't conceive this because we've never experienced it, but this is how it's told. And so eventually, what was weird about this whole thing, and this may be why cows are still sacred in India, Ymir was nurtured by a cow, which I don't know where the cow comes into this whole thing. But the cow's milk nurtured Ymir for most of his life, I think. Very strange. But
that is interesting. I know that Vedic knowledge, and I actually believe now, because I'm not familiar with the Norse and you are, and I believe that is where the Vedic got their knowledge now, because there's a lot of stuff that's tied in. And they even talk about these tall, white-haired or light-skinned, blue-eyed beings that gave them this knowledge.
Yes.
And I really think you're on the right track with that information. And I love that you share it, because I would like to learn that.
Yeah, so in the beginning, with the word creating the two realms basically of light and dark, one, they had the Niflheimer was the frosty realm with the frost giants and spirits. Very important to know this. Spirit realm with frost giants. Then they, on the opposite spectrum, they had the fire realm of Muspelheimer. And the two that were obviously two separate spheres of energy, between them, they created Ymir, and Ymir's body became the earth. And Ymir somehow, well, I don't know where this cow came from, though. It's like, what, who made the cow? The cow jumped over the moon. I mean,
Well, it could have been the age that they're referring to, the age of Taurus. I don't know, because in the Vedic, yeah, you do. There's a lot of references to the cow and the milk, and that's what nourishes the world. And they don't eat cows because they have, according to the seers, they have similar energy centers to humans. And they say if you're sad and you have a cow in the room, it will cry for you. That's how sensitive these beings are. And so anyway, makes you want to be vegetarian.
Yeah, I mean, what's sad is, I mean, you go and you get near a cow and you see how big and gentle their eyes are. You're just like, you fall in love. And we're slaughtering them and eating them. I'm like, no, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be slaughtering these animals in general, not really, because it lowers your frequency. Now and that whole thing with the Norse cosmology is very fascinating. So I encourage people to go and look at that. But I've noticed something. So I've been eating mostly plant-based, and I've had some pizza and stuff, but not with meat. I haven't had meat. And I decided to go and buy a chicken, a rotisserie chicken, and eat it. Let me tell you what happened to me. And this is something that I've started noticing because I did it a second time just to see. I ate the chicken and I noticed how not only did my energy drop down, but I became depressed and also angry. And I was like, wow. I'm like,
I have an answer for that when you're done.
Yeah, my mood completely shifted. Like I can feel my entire energy shift when I eat these foods that are dead, like dead flesh, dead stuff. And, who knows what kind of dark magical practice they're doing in these facilities where they're slaughtering these animals. Like you can put the voodoo hex on some of this stuff and then send it out for people to eat.
So I wrote about this in my manuscript for my children because I want them to understand this. And it goes back to vibration and energy. So when an animal is slaughtered, okay, let's go back to the food for just a second. So I'm going to use a cow as an example. So in the feedlot, they are fed corn and soy. First of all, that's not natural in a cow's diet, and it causes an autoimmune reaction in them, and often that's why they're routinely fed antibiotics to keep that reaction. It keeps them healthier, makes them gain weight. It's like you sitting around eating junk food. It's going to make you fat, and that's what they want. They want the weight on the cow. So first of all, that's toxic in itself. So even if you are a lot of people are anti-soy because soy, if it's not organic, it's genetically modified. So you are consuming that soy product. Same within the chicken, just so you know, they are fed soy because it's the highest protein animal feed. And so you're automatically consuming that. Then when the being goes to a slaughterhouse, it is full of fear. It's full of fear. And I read this one book about this guy who had a cow, and he, gave it to the friends. And anyway, the friends ended up slaughtering it. And they were telling him this story about how this bull put up a fight in the feed house like they have never seen before. And it made this man cry. I mean, so you are consuming fear when you are eating these animals, fear, sadness, and pain. And you can prove that scientifically because the cortisol levels in these animals is extremely high. And so when you're eating these things, you're eating those vibrations. And I told my children, I'm not a vegetarian, and I wish and I hope someday I will be. But I get my food, my meat from a person who I know. They slaughter the person comes out and shoots the cow on their property, and the cow doesn't even know what happened. It was very happy when it died. And when I eat the food, I'm thanking the cow or the chicken or the fish for giving its life. I'm giving like a little blessing in which, energetically offsets a little bit of that. But people don't know they are literally eating rage, fear, and pain.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, I believe me, I know the spiritual consequences of it. That's why I say, just to raise more awareness on what we're eating, what you remember the phrase, it used to be around for a while, you are what you eat.
Yes.
And people don't take that literally. And
And
all the chemicals and things, it's an abomination to your body. Your body needs specific frequencies to function properly. You won't feed your gas tank in your car like lettuce and sugar and salt. I mean, you don't, it needs specific things to operate properly. And same with the computer. You're not going to like pour water on it to try to get it to work. So what are we doing to our bodies? Just because it says it's edible doesn't mean that it is. And that's the biggest problem with society. They don't really want to do their research on the ingredient label. And listen, so we need to start, and this, I'm going to put this out there to the mass population of whoever will share this video. We need to start class action lawsuits against literally every company and corporation that is putting out the food right now, because you can buy organic products and they have had abominations done to them. So the milk products that we buy in the store do not have just milk. There's a whole list of ingredients that they do not have to, or at least they feel this, I guess, they don't have to tell you what's in it. My friend worked at a cheese factory, and she said you would not eat cheese anymore if you knew what was in it.
Wow.
All these chemicals in there. There's red number 40 in milk. They have all these different elements that are not on the label. And the apples that I bought from Trader Joe's recently, and yeah, I'm going to put that name out there. Any of these products, the apples, the oranges, all of their fruits and veggies, they are typically sprayed with a wax substance, and it is the carnauba wax. This is car wax, people. They put this stuff on cars. If it's good for your car, is it good for your body? I don't know all of the ins and outs of carnauba wax, but I'll tell you this much I know. The processing of anything is what truly destroys your immune system. How they have to extract the plant materials to make the products that they say are beneficial to us is the problem. And so,
have you seen those videos that are coming out now about the gene therapy that they are putting in the animals now that they don't have to disclose?
It's everything.
I couldn't believe that. I'm like, how is this in our food and we don't know? And you're not being told. And
because we are in the United States, and it is the United States corporation. That corpse oration has taken over literally everything in our lives. And it is doing a overreach right now, over and beyond. And so if we do not stand together and fight this system, we are going to say no. We're going to be victims to its oppression. And that's what's rising right now all around us. There are a lot of lawsuits going on about literally everything you can imagine right now, but the people aren't standing together enough on the points that if someone is putting an extra ingredient on your apples and your oranges per se, like this wax, for example, which has a whole nother host of ingredients in itself, and it's not on the label, what happened to the consumer protection rights and all this stuff that states that you have to have the ingredients in the product labeling? This is where
people don't even know about genetically modified stuff. No. You ask somebody about, oh, I didn't know there's genetically modified. They don't even know what it is, and people need to be made aware. And it's videos like this that will help open people's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every single thing that we acquiesce to purchase, this is again, your part of your consent, because where you give your free will up to, you consent to, and your consent to contract with the corporations that are putting out the food supply. If you change your dynamic and vote with your dollars,
Absolutely.
supporting your local farmer is the best thing that you can ever do, because not only are you supporting an independent individual family of people who are actually trying to give you the best product possible, you will negate, by voting with your dollars, this corporation. And we've only been feeding the machine by voting with our dollars with Amazon, with, you know, Kroger. We have Kroger, Publix, and all these other grocery stores, these mainstream grocery stores. We need to stop, because they're the ones, as long as we continue to purchase their products, they stay in business. If we stop
Absolutely.
purchasing their products, they're no longer in business. That's how
That's what I wrote down for my kids. If you stop buying it, they're going to stop making it,
yes.
because you know you can affect great change with what you choose to
Yes.
buy.
I mean, it's really, the power is in us, but we have not seen that power yet. And we don't believe that we have power. But believe me, I see that I have power, but I am powerless without the chain of others that go, yes, let's all do this together. Let's all stop buying from particular corporations that are making these poisonous foods. Let's stop buying from this producer of the produce. And a lot of this produce is coming from California. And I'm telling you, California is overtaken by the darkness, by the dark forces.
I'm right here next to it. I know all about it.
Oh my gosh. It's not just California, though. We've got Oregon that's got problems. We've got New York, obviously, Chicago. They are surrounding us. Now, Hollywood's in Georgia. Guess what? They're going to start planting their dark magic and imbibing that into these particular places. Geomancy, all of this stuff, black magic practices. It's coming for all of us.
We need to start doing short videos, because you and I tend to go for a really long time, but let's put together a video that's short, concise, about, you know, maybe a list of things that, you know, you might not want to buy because of, you know, it has X, Y, and Z ingredients. Or, you know, let's focus on like one subject and keep it under 30, because people tend, you know, we've gone from this video from, you know, crystals to, you know, giants to, you know, genetic food. And sometimes people get either bored or distracted, or, you know, they don't want to follow us the whole way. But you know what I'm saying? This is all really good information. But we need to get it to people in a way that they can understand, they can soak it in, and then they can, you know, just focus on that one thing and do something with that.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Like we need to make.
We need to figure that out, me and you.
We'll produce the videos, you know, where we break this up. Because that's me. I love to go from, I go from zero.
Me too.
And then I'm like, okay, let's go over here. We'll do a 90-degree turn and go. But it's because it keeps it, for me, it keeps it interesting, and people never know what they're going to find, you know?
Right.
I'm like, this is like a treasure hunt, and you can just go in and go, oh my gosh, they're talking about this, you know? And that's just my mind, because I can just go on every subject because of all the stuff that I've been into, like just looking and digging.
You too.
But
I'm sure people watching too, you know.
We can do 20-minute videos. And listen, a good website or a good entity to follow is the Cornucopia Institute. They can be found on Facebook. They are keeping up with organic things. They have lists together of all of the different companies where, you know, it's the oligarchs basically, you know, versus the small companies, that kind of stuff. You can find that information through their, all of the knowledge that they portray on Facebook. So
that's good.
You know, that's a good like little cue in there. But definitely, and so we'll have to do some more stuff on the crystal stuff too, because there's another technique that you can do if you have someone in front of you. It's in my crystal videos. You can use the crystal and have it aiming at their thymus gland, but you have to have your crystal counterclockwise as far as your wrist can go. And then as you're aiming at their thymus, you're 2 inches from the thymus, which is, it's found 2 fingers below that little notch that's at the base of your neck.
Right here.
2 fingers down. You can hear has a hollow sound. So that is where you'll aim your crystal point, and you're coming
with
off
your wrist counterclockwise.
Yeah, counterclockwise as far as you can go.
Okay.
And then you come in 2 inches, hovering 2 inches away from the thymus. Okay. And then you start slowly, very slowly turning clockwise, and you have the person tell you when they feel something. And I'll tell you this much. So right about when you get to about 11 o'clock, like shoot, either from there to about 3 o'clock is where people will say, I feel something now.
And what are they feeling? What are you doing by, let's stop. What are you doing by doing that?
So what you're doing is you're trying to connect and find one of the auric fields of the person. And you're trying to integrate the one that needs to have the most attention.
So you're digging into their energetic field with their crystal.
You know, we have different frequencies. So you're trying to tune in to their resonant frequency of the field of energy that is actually tied to their immune system. And as you do that, you can even sit there and play with your hand and start to feel different sensations. So you'll either feel heat, you'll feel
I can feel heat.
You can feel an electric charge, you can feel a magnetic kind of sensation. It's going to be different based on your frequency. For me, I would feel like this little whoop, and it's hard to even explain what that is. You know, when I would do it to myself, I'm like, well, I feel something. Is kind of a weird sensation. And that's the point where you're connecting to their energy field. And
then you stop when they feel something, whatever it is, then you stop
the rotation. And then you both start breathing inwards together, deep breaths. And it's going to be similar to the original method, except now this time you may have your hand behind them trying to coordinate where this point is too. As you're rotating and spinning, you're kind of going like this, feeling behind them, not touching their back. You don't have to touch them physically. What you're doing is you're just trying to hone in on that connection point, and they'll tell you when it is on. And then you start breathing, inhaling deeply and exhaling only through the nostrils, very important. And then on the third one, you close your hand as you're behind them, you're raising it, closing it, breaking that memory. So you're grabbing a hold of it and you're breaking it, pulling it out of them. And it's breaking that memory of whatever started that whole process of them.
So let's say they have pain in their foot and real severe pain. They don't know what it is, can't, been to the doctor, blah, 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 blah. So you're going into their energetic field through the thymus. You're rotating your wrist counterclockwise as far as it will go. You have your hand behind the individual. You slowly rotate until
and then they go, they're like, I feel something.
I feel something. Then you together do the in and out breath deeply through your nose. On the third exhale, you just think clear. It doesn't matter where the issue is in the body. You are thinking clear or healing or whatever. And on the third breath, you close and like snap it gone.
Snap it like a twig, like you're breaking a stick. Like
that's great. I cannot wait to try that with this.
And
I'm so excited.
You can see if they still feel something, you can do it again. You can do it as many times as you need. And then eventually what you want to do is once it's cleared, you can also go in and you can do where you're moving the energy in them. You can do like this process. And this can also be when they're still feeling a sensation, you can grab it, make sure you've got a hold of it again. You can start rotating that energy and rotating with their auric field and then breaking it again.
Can you just like pull it out with your crystal? Pull it out?
Yeah. I mean, what it's going to do, it's going to go into time and space, and it's going to break that, whatever that energy is, it's going to break it up and fragment it. And then you've got to put love. If you take out anything, you got to fill it with love.
Yes. Put something back.
Yeah. And so you would come back in to that point and remember the point, and then just inhale, and you can then rest the crystal there and give them well-being, like you feel for them, the well-being and love for them, to close off the energy so nothing else would fill in.
Yeah, because there's a saying in the Bible, if you remove, where is it, where you remove one demon, then 7 will fill its place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yes,
yeah, that makes
just
sense.
With you saying that just triggers me to mention the reason why we don't know about all of the arrests, the mass arrests and things that are happening in Gitmo, and all the stuff that's happening with all the, well-known people, is because they're possessed and they have to be depossessed. And most of our society would not handle that kind of knowledge very well.
Handle that. I agree.
That is why they have been keeping things on the down low, because you can't just kill someone and expect the demon to go away.
Right. It just moves.
You have to depossess them, and that's an entirely different process. It's a ritual, and it's not the knowledge that we have. So there's specific people that have to do this. Yeah, and I do believe that we are getting assistance from these other beings that have been known in the past, the Hyperboreans and others. We just haven't known them. And obviously they can't integrate into our society because it would be too much of a shock to our collective consciousness to see these people who are 10 to 15 feet tall. And it would just be like, what? And people would be frightened.
People can't even believe in crystal healing or demons or, anything. How are they going to believe that right now?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's going to be,
just believe whatever's on the TV.
It's going to be a while before they fully integrate, but we will know more about them as we keep abreast of the UFO phenomena. If anybody is listening to the UFO phenomena, that is where the disclosure is going to come from. Where do all these UFOs come from? Where does this technology come from? Why is it we haven't known about it? It's because it's been kept from us, even though it was already here thousands of years ago. Yeah, there's a lot with that, but
there's so much with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I won't keep you any longer. We've been here for this is what happens. Yeah. We just get on a roll,
Good thing though, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, we need to just start sharing this with other people, because when we have conversations, it just goes bounce. It's like we're playing tennis,
Yeah.
But again, it's been great having a talk with you again, and so we need to just make this like a regular thing. Like, it'll be the Kara hour,
Right? The Kara and
Ellen. We'll try not to keep it to 2 hours or 3 hours. We'll try to keep it for 20.
I could go all day with this. I don't know.
No, it's great.
All right. I'll work harder on, getting information out, and we should definitely start talking more.
Yeah, and I will share your information, your channel, and all of that, so that people can find you.
Well, tell people, be patient. I really don't have anything up, but like I said, I will. It's important that it gets out.
It is very important. It's time for us to share what we know. Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, good chat.
Yeah, good chat. Have a good day, everybody.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.